Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our lesson. I'm happy to be in touch with you again. Today we're going to discuss the text A Woman of Courage. Before we continue with the reading part, I'd like to make a pre-reading activity. Para se të vazhdojmë me leximin e pjesës, dua që të bëjmë lexim të drejtuar. We are going to pose some questions before we read. Do bëjmë disa pyetje para se të lexojmë. The main character of our story is Helen Keller. Personazhi kryesor I tregimit tonë, në historisë tonë është Helen Keller. So, I'm sure that you don't know her, or maybe you have never heard about her. Jam e sigurt që as nuk e njihni dhe as nuk mund të keni dëgjuar për të, even though she is famous, edhe pse ajo është e famshme. So, who is Helen Keller? Why is she considered as a woman of courage, and what made her so remarkable? Pra, kush është Helen Keller? Pse konsiderohet si gruaja e kurajos dhe çfarë e bëri atë kaq të shquar? Now I'm going to read the text. You follow it in your books and pay attention to the pronunciation. Ndiqeni tekstin në libër dhe shihni si shqiptohen fjalët. A Woman of Courage. Helen Adams Keller was born on 27th of June 1880 in Alabama, USA. Unfortunately, Helen contracted an illness when she was only 19 months old that left her deaf and blind. Her mother found it difficult to cope with Helen, so they decided to hire a teacher. On the 3rd of March, 1887, Anne Sullivan, a former blind woman who had regained her sight, arrived at the Kellers' home. With Anne's help, Helen learned how to read and write using Braille. She went on to study, and on 28th of June, 1904, she became the first deaf-blind person ever to have earned a Bachelor of Arts degree. Over the following years, Ellen toured the world, giving talks about her life experiences and her support of female suffrage, pacifism, and workers' rights. In 1915, she founded Helen Keller International, an organization to support research into vision and health and nutrition, and in 1920, she helped create the American Civil Liberties Union, whose aim is to defend civil liberties. In later years, Helen devoted herself to raising funds for the American Foundation for the Blind. In 1961, Helen suffered a stroke and had to withdraw from public life, but she was far from forgotten. On 14th of September 1964, President Lyndon Johnson awarded her one of the highest civilian honors, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and in 1965 she was elected to the National Women's Hall of Fame. Helen died in her sleep from natural causes on the 1st of June 1968. She left her mark on society and proved that, as she once said, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." Now you're going to read the text again, and then you're going to do exercise 2, 3, and 4 as classwork. In exercise 2, you're going to read the sentences and mark them as true or false. In exercise 3, there are some synonyms of the words from the text, of some words from the text, and in exercise 3, you should write why was Helen Keller a woman of courage. Then, for homework, you're going to do exercise 5. Now, new vocabulary from the text. Fjalë të reja nga teksti. To contract an illness, do të thotë të sëmuresh. Deaf and blind. Deaf do të thotë I shurdhër. Somebody who cannot hear is deaf. And blind is somebody who cannot see, I verbër. Hire. Hire në kontekstin tuaj ka kuptim punësoj. To hire a teacher, punësoj një mësuese. To regain sight means to see again, rifitoj shikimin. Female suffrage is the right of women to vote, e drejta e grave për të votuar. To devote do të thotë të përkushtohesh. Stroke është hemorragji cerebrale. Withdraw është tërhiqje. To leave marks, lë gjurmë, to leave marks in society, lë gjurmë në shoqëri. To cope with means to deal with, ta përballoj ose të merrem me diçka. Former means ex, e kemi marrë edhe në një tekst tjetër bashk, që thoshte he was a former soldier. That means he was an ex-soldier, ish. To defend means to protect. Okay? So, once again, as classwork, exercise 2, 3, and 4, and as homework, exercise 5. If you have got any questions, just contact me.